Have you ever watched Coach Carter? If you have not, long story short, it's a movie starring Samuel L. Jackson. Long story short, he builds a bunch of promising but underperforming young players and a promising group of young basketball players to a competent team which inspires many of the neutrals. However, at the end of the movie, it does not have the fairy tale ending. They fall just short of winning the championship. Now, does that story of Coach Carter sound familiar? Sadly, that reminds me of Arsenal Football Club and what we're doing under Mikel Arteta. As I said, sadly, it reminds me of Arsenal, and it's such a shame because on one hand, you know, history only remembers those that are victorious. As good as this season and last season has been, 20 years from now, we are not going to remember it. So, in the aspirations of trophies, of bringing Arsenal back to the glory days, we haven't accomplished that. We haven't achieved that. We haven't done that. So you could say, you know, for as much as we big up Arteta, rightly so, you can use your eyes and see what we're doing as a football club, the players, and for everything else, just the very fact that this football club is the envy of many in many ways and is once again competitive. There's many things to be proud of both what the football club, Mikel Arteta, and the players are doing. You know, you look at the points we're taking, the record versus the big six, you know, how good we've been as a whole team defensively, keeping clean sheets, and Raya's got that to his name. Over 80 plus Premier League goals scored at the time of making this vid. I think that makes us the second goal scorers in the Premier League. Record wins this season, currently at 27. As I said, clean sheets, goals, wins, you know, the mentality, the ability to play teams off the park with a swagger, the set pieces, you know, the mid and low blocks in which, you know, people want to have their cake and eat it. When we was playing pretty football and dominating all the statistics apart from what's mattering in that getting goals and getting 3 points, they said we can't win ugly. Now, you know, we win ugly as shown against Man United or Spurs, and we win when we're not necessarily at our best. Or they also say if you can't win, don't lose. When we went into the Manchester City game at the Etihad, of course I would like to have won that. Of course, with the half chances we had, I would have loved to have got 3 points, 6 points in total off Manchester City. But they also say if you can't win, don't lose. And to keep 2 clean sheets off Manchester City and Pep Guardiola's City will never be had again, in my opinion. And it shows how good it's been. You know, Kai Havertz is making £65 million look cheap. You know, Raya's found, you know, he's had some teething issues, but Raya has found his place in this team. Kai is doing his thing. Declan Rice is amazing. Yes, Timber's injured, but we know he's crazy. So our summer signings have been great. Our signings that we've already had at the club, or players better yet we've had at the club, are getting better and better. You know, Saliba is getting various man of the match performances in the big games. Saka has got double figures once again. After a slow start, Odegaard's risen to the fore. You know, in August, where it looked like Gabriel might leave the club, Gabriel and Benjamin White have stood up to be counted. Trossard's come into form. Everybody has been doing their job. They said it was a fluke that we wouldn't be here next season, yet here we are running down this title race track down to the final day of the season, hoping for our first Premier League title win during the Emirates era, which I don't think will happen with Manchester City, but it just shows what we're doing as a football club. Again, in the summer, people say, oh, Arsenal are going to go away, they're not going to be good, everyone's going to improve, which I'm not naive. We're not always going to have a great season. You know, last season we had a lot of injuries. This year we've had a lot of injuries, but we've kept everybody fit. When you look at someone like Saliba, who's played every minute heading into the last game of the season, they said it was a fluke, yet here we are. And again, we haven't won anything. We'll hold our banter. But I think when rival fans and our friends are done criticizing us and everything else, they will admit that we are competitive. That I won't go as far as to say we're the envy of the world, but in terms of having stability, a project, an innovative manager and good players, and we can take it to another level, many teams are envious. Look at Spurs, look at Chelsea, look at Manchester United, for example. Sadly, Pep Guardiola and City stand in the way of us. You know, they're a footballing powerhouse in the modern day, with arguably the greatest ever manager to grace the game. As good as we've been, sadly, it might not be enough. If I had one wish like Ray J, it would be to have got at least 3 more points on the board. Now, again, I know you can't win every game. You can't be amazing in every game. And there's we have to chase the illusion of perfection. But then I will counteract that argument and say, yes, while we're contending, we're doing things, it does feel like an impossible job defeating Manchester City for a Premier League title. But internally. Again, you will draw and lose and drop points. But I have to go back to the Chelsea game where it took us 60 minutes to really turn up. And yes, we did come back from behind. The Spurs game at the Emirates where we shot ourselves in the foot. Actually, I think the Chelsea and Spurs game indirectly tie into us not having a good midfield. You know, again, I love Jorginho. I think Jorginho's been great. I'm not criticizing him in particular. But if you look at the correlation between the Chelsea game and the Spurs second half, in which Declan Rice came off, when there is an open kind of NBA basketball match, keeping up the theme of this video, Jorginho struggles. My point is not to get at Jorginho, is to look at the tools that we have in our toolbox, and we've got some great tools. But every now and again, it appears, you know, that you kind of see why we need to adjust and bring in players, and there's many things we could do better. The 2 defeats against Aston Villa, you know, the defeat against West Ham at the Emirates where we had about 30 shots and we couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Obviously, people will look at the Aston Villa game in 2024, but we played against them twice. You know, the Newcastle game where we were competitive, but we didn't create, let alone talk about converting chances. And there's many others where we've slipped up, really. So there's a lot that we could do better. It's sad because on one hand, I feel like, you know, there's no shame in losing to Manchester City. They're the big bad bullies. They've shown that it's a marathon and not a sprint. But on the other hand, for me, it feels like last season, in which, again, considering you lost to the treble winners, it feels like it was their destiny, but we shot ourselves in the foot. We have improved in that we're taking it down to the last day of the season, but it's another case where we're bridesmaids and not necessarily the bride, and that has to change. You know, as I said, in conclusion, regardless of how it ends, it has been an impressive season. It's been a record season for us on several fronts. Sadly, again, history is written by the victors and the victorious. If you don't win it, really and truly, there's nothing to remember in terms of legacy long beyond these years, people. Long before, you know, long after all of these players and all us fans are dead, really, there's nothing etched in history that they can't take away. Hopefully these are the building blocks, and while I hope that West Ham can do us a favour and obviously Arsenal get 3 points, of course, you know, hopefully these are building blocks these last 2 years and we can go one better next year. I think we just have to wait for Pep Guardiola to leave, if I'm completely honest with you. Sadly, it's been an impressive season where, you know, we've got 27 wins, which is the highest number we've achieved since the start of the Premier League, also breaking the invincible records. The clean sheet records are there. The set pieces are there. You know, we're playing in many different ways. You know, Arteta can stink up the place defensively. We can kill you on the counter attack. We can stink up the place and just take opportunities where you present, like with the Spurs and United games. We can win without necessarily being amazing for 90 minutes. We're competitive again. You know, Arsenal is becoming feared again, regardless of what rivals say. Sadly, though, it is another case of what if. For me, what if we had a striker that could convert in the FA Cup and we beat Liverpool? Because I genuinely believe we're Arsenal Football Club. We've won that the record amount of times, give or take, with Manchester United. We should be in that final. The League Cup, I hear it, but I would have liked to have won that. The Champions League, we gave a great account of ourselves, but it is a feeling of what if, especially the first leg against Bayern Munich, let alone the second. And for the large part, it is a marathon, not a sprint, where the Premier League is concerned. And we've ran a steady race, but unfortunately, we've stumbled at times in which Manchester City have taken advantage. There's nothing to say other than we go again, essentially. I don't think our top 6 record will be as great as it was this year, but that was actually something. To play our rivals, well, top 5 and Spurs, and not collect L's was amazing. So I'm proud of my boys, but fundamentally, everything we're doing is to get Arsenal back to the glory days, which is achieving silverware and honours, and we haven't done that. Nonetheless, though, folks, let me know your opinions. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment at the end of this video. Don't forget to boost the YouTube algorithm. We're steadily approaching 60,000 subscribers. Let me know your thoughts, people. Do you think Arsenal will win a Premier League trophy under Mikel Arteta? What has been the most impressive and unimpressive aspects this season? Do you feel we've taken the large part of this squad to as far as it can go without bringing in additions? Let me know all your thoughts. Football is subjective. There's no rights, there's no wrongs. Without your opinions, this channel cannot bang. And I welcome opinions, people, because you lot are the foundation of this channel. I'm like Mikel Arteta in that it is my channel. I am the face, but you lot are the coaching staff, the players, the community. You know what? You lot are family. DG Nation, we're a family, man. Smash the like button, subscribe, comment, let me know your thoughts. Check out the rest of the other videos. One love. Peace.
First, 'cause you always